insights. We bring in experienced professionals and subject matter experts who can break down complex topics in clear, usable takeaways. Another key part is making connections. These programs create space for members to network and learn from one another, ask questions, and have honest conversations about challenges and opportunities. It's not just about hearing from the experts, it's about building a stronger, more informed business community. I'd like to extend our sincere thanks to our presenting sponsor, Kaiser Permanente, our impact investors, as well as our Small Business Solutions Hub partners and investors, Chambers Construction, Eugene Area Radio Stations, Hirschner Huntner Attorneys, Insight Research Lab, Oregon Community Credit Union, Springfield Utility Board, Eisler CPA, and WaFd Bank. For our guest on Zoom, Paige Walters will be monitoring the link in case you have questions. Let's give a big round of applause for Tammy Ingalls-Drew and Ames Mobile Nursing for today's lunch. And please join me in welcoming Carl Armstead, Account Manager at Kaiser Permanente, our presenting sponsor, to say a few words.
Thank you so much, Marianne. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Kyle Armstead, and I am the Kaiser Permanente Sales Executive and Account Manager for Lane County. It's so great to be here with such a good group of people today. At Kaiser Permanente, we recognize how important supporting small business is. We know that when small businesses thrive, communities thrive. Our focus is simple: deliver high quality, accessible, local care that helps employers keep their teams healthy and supported. We've done this by expanding our local access at our Chase Gardens Clinic, as well as with our partnerships with Peace Health and over 700 other local community providers. Our goal is really just to make healthcare easier, more connected, and more responsive for the people who power Lane County's small business community. Thank you again to the Springfield Chamber for being such a valued partner in these efforts. I hope you all have a great afternoon. Thank you.
And I'm excited to share that we became members of Kaiser this year, and we've just been thrilled with everything. Thank you. Okay, and first up we have Kenny Weigandt, Deputy Director for Recreation and Community Services at Willamalane. Kenny joined Willamalane in 2018 and became the Deputy Director for Recreation and Community Services in 2025. He is a proud Oregon Duck and has a bachelor's degree in economics. He has about 18 years of experience in leadership, strategic planning, marketing, and communications in a variety of industries, but has found his true passion with parks and recreation. Kenny's favorite pastimes include kayaking, running slowly, hiking every inch of Willamalane trails, playing real sorry basketball, and spending time with his wild and crazy family, whose Christmas letter we all love. Thanks, Kenny.
All right. Well, thanks so much for the invite to do this. So when the opportunity came to present on this, I really took a look at kind of everything that I get to oversee in my job. So for Willamalane, Deputy Director for Recreation and Community Service, essentially the easy way to say that is there's parks and then there's rec. I am over rec. So for us, that encompasses events, it encompasses all of our facility operations, it encompasses all of our childcare programs, adult programs, senior programs, community services. Rather than trying to say, well, here's how we tackle hiring for all of that, I really wanted to focus on just one challenge that we had to take a really innovative approach in terms of filling, and that is with our aquatics department. So there's a couple stars in the crowd tonight, so you will see photos of them. So Brandon Lemke is our manager, our program manager for all of aquatic operations, and then we have Lily Mansour, who I will give a little bit more clarity about her role in this too as we kind of go through. So, all right, Paige, hit me with the next slide. So about Willamalane pools. So we have two aquatic facilities. First is Splash at Lively Park. If you haven't been there, it's probably because you don't have children that want to burn a lot of energy right now. So it is more of our water park experience that we have. So it has a wave pool, water slide, it has kiddie pool, swimming area. We do water fitness and lap swimming in that, but of the two facilities, it definitely leans more towards recreation swims. Willamalane Park Swim Center, that leans more towards fitness. So that's where we have our central indoor pool. It caters to swimmers of all ages and ability. It has a therapy pool. That's where most of our water exercise classes go. We have a warm pool. We have a dive pool. We do have a water slide and we do run recreation swims there as well. But that one definitely leans much more toward the fitness aspect and really a lot of the essential services that we provide for wellness. Also, full disclosure, that's my son, that's my daughter, that's my son's friend Brock. If you see kids, before I was in the role that I'm at now, I was our community engagement director, so I oversaw marketing and branding. If we ever needed kids that we needed license for, that's it. So if you see one pass out or splash with the Weigandt kids, that's why. So, all right. So we have a familiar challenge. So if you talk to anybody within the aquatics world, there is a very familiar challenge to find lifeguards and swim instructors. They are by nature, high turnover level positions, and they're also really hard to staff and fill. Some of the familiar challenges that you have, they are safety sensitive positions, and there are legitimately life or death circumstances that they have to deal with on a regular basis. So the responsibility level is high. It requires specialized training. So not everyone can be a lifeguard or a swim instructor. You have to be able to do it. It can be physically demanding. You have to pass a swim test. You have to be certified with safety standards. So we can't just pull anyone off the street to do it. There are a lot of alternatives. So I think if you're looking at where you're at for the pay scale for a starting lifeguard or a swim instructor, it's on par with a lot of entry-level jobs. So we're competing not just with other pools, but we're also competing with the job industry as a whole. And a lot of employees are seasonal. I mentioned a lot of this as turnover is expected. A lot of our lifeguards, especially that we hire, they are high school students, college students looking for summer work, fall work, or certain shifts. And if that doesn't meet their schedule, they cycle out. And we've had a lot of people who have a great experience. It's a great place to start a career. But most folks don't stay as a lifeguard or swim instructor for a very, very long period of time. Some do, and we're thrilled when that happens, but it's just not the natural cycle what that job is. And there are a lot of pools in the area. Eugene Springfield is very lucky. We have quite a few aquatic facilities. City of Eugene Rec operates 3 pools. YMCA has a full aquatic center. River Oak Park has a full aquatic center. We have 2. So there are a lot of competing interests. And across the aquatics industry, there has been a real shortage, especially for lifeguards. So we, for a very long time, and I'll go back to my marketing days, we have always had to push the gas on trying to find new ways to recruit, get people excited about the job, to learn about the job. There was a time when there are certifications that it takes to do this, that Willamalane was not paying for those certifications. They had to pay for it themselves. They commit. We reversed that. That was one of those barriers that we had, but we're still finding we're having some of these barriers of entry. So that's really where we had to take a harder look at kind of what's going on here. So take the next one here, slide. So this really came to a head post-COVID. We, like most every other aquatic facility in the country, we had to temporarily shut down. When we came back, it was much harder. It was always a challenge before COVID. Post-COVID, that challenge really amplified up. We were basically facing an operational crisis where we had the pools were open, they were ready, but we were very concerned that we wouldn't have the adequate staff to run it. The other challenge that comes for Willamalane specifically is that we, given the way our pools are set up and they're so big with different bodies of water, it takes, 8 lifeguards to run, Brandon? 8 lifeguards at one time per shift. So you can't skimp on that number. So it takes a lot of bodies for us to be able to do that. We did use one of the advantages that came out of COVID is that there was some COVID relief dollars. We were actually able to raise and increase the wages of those lifeguards. That was something we used that relief money for. Unfortunately, it really, as much as we thought like, hey, it's just we're competing with fast food industry or other entry-level jobs. If we can go above that, maybe it'll help. It really didn't have that big of an impact. So we changed course. Summer of 2023, we limped along until we got there. Summer 2023, our aquatics team decided it's time for us to take a new look at how we do this hiring process. So this is actually on our website right now. This is a real posting, and you'll notice this aquatics hiring event is marketed alongside our Concerts in the Park and our dive-in movie. If anybody's looking for a good time tonight, we're having a dive-in movie at Splash. It's a really, really good time. Yeah, but this hiring event is something that's pretty darn innovative. This came from our aquatics team. And if you go to the next piece here, I'll kind of explain what it is. So here was the vision behind this. This is Corey. Corey is one of our aquatic supervisors. We know that one of Corey's biggest strengths is if you meet Corey, his energy is infectious. We're like, man, people could just see the people that they'd be working with. That would be really big advantage. Right behind him, can't see her very well. That's Regina. Regina oversees all of our swim lesson programs. Corey is the head of our lifeguards. So these are kind of the two primary supervisors that our staff engage with more. What we wanted to do is rather than just rely on us blasting postings everywhere, trying to convince people that, hey, this is a cool job. This is one that it's a great starting place. There's so many people that started their career, EMTs, firefighters, emergency personnel. These are great starting positions for somebody who's interested in those. We have tried so many angles to get there, but really what we wanted to do is give people kind of a free sample of what the job would be. So we wanted to create an event where you could learn about the job. You can meet your wonderful supervisors that I just talked about. You could meet some prospective peers. I think this is one of the things, especially as we've been doing some recruiting at Thurston High School in particular. A lot of what we're hearing is like, well, what are you doing this summer? And if you can go in with somebody that you're familiar with, you're more likely to not only take the job, but stay. So we wanted to also create that where you can meet some of your prospective peers. You are going to this hiring event, you're meeting people, you're mingling, and it's somebody that might be your buddy that you're working with after you go through this. We want people to know on the front end, this is what it requires. There are certifications that are required for this. And we want to make sure that people know that Willamalane is covering those costs for you. You don't have to pay for those out of your own pocket. And then this is the thing, the way it's set up, they start up here. They have a presentation kind of about what the job requires, how it all works. Scheduling, how we operate, how Splash and Willamalane Park Swim Center kind of are two separate buildings, but they work together. And then we have them jump in the pool. They actually take a swim test on site. This is the free sample of trying it. There are some folks too that come to the hiring event, they try that swim test and they go, not for me. And that's good for everyone. That's good for us that we're not wasting our time, effort, energy, and resources to hire someone in for them to get in and then not be equipped for the job. It's a terrible experience for somebody too, especially for something where if you jump in that water and you take this swim test and you're like, man, how am I going to handle this if I am in a life or death situation? For some people, they come to a realization this is not the good job for them. So not only are these events trying to get more people in the applicant pool, it's also trying to give them a better taste of like, yeah, this is a retention thing too. We want people to be confident before they take this job. So it is a sample of the job before you try it. Go to the next one page. This picture is very telling. So when we started these, they started with pretty low attendance. They were ones where we kind of pushed it really hard. We're trying to get as many people as we could. But what we found is that it took a little bit of time. It took a little bit of word of mouth. After a while, the hiring trends have really, really improved. The other thing, and I'll go back to my marketing hat a little bit, is when we're doing postings and let's say we're coming into our summer cycle for hiring, we are not promoting, be a lifeguard at Willamalane. We're promoting, come to a Willamalane hiring event and get firsthand experience about what it is. It's a brand new marketing angle, and it gives somebody a much easier barrier to come in and learn about it. We promote the events so much harder than we promote just the posting. And that has been very, very helpful, not just for our marketing team, but also it's what our staff feed off of. There's Brandon. I think he's wearing the same shirt, maybe something different. There's Gina. These are swim instructors, prospective swim instructors. These are prospective lifeguards. In April 2026, coming into our biggest hiring need that we have coming into the summer, we had a record, we had 38 people show up. That is an astounding number compared. And what we're taking this is this was word of mouth, really kind of spreading the word. They're like, hey, what are you doing this summer? Let's go try this hiring event. Of those 38, 35 people applied. 33 of those made it all the way through and they became Willamalane employees. That's 27 lifeguards and 6 swim instructors. What that did is that is our biggest lift to carry us into summer. Summer has always been a tense time coming in for aquatics because if we don't have that, we're reducing rec swim numbers, we're reducing hours of time that we can be in the pool. We have had times where like we might not be able to honor the hours of operation that we have promised to the community. That's what we always want to avoid. These are the wonderful people that we need to run that pool. And we want every one of them to have a positive work experience in the summer. These events really kind of give that first step to getting in that. The other thing that you don't see, there's a really good mix of ages on this. So there are a lot of young people want to be lifeguards. There are also some older adults that want to be lifeguards too. The other thing that's really cool is back here, there are quite a few parents who are not only seeing what their kids, they're learning what their kids' summer is going to look like. And they're part of that decision-making factor. When we're talking about 15, 16, 17-year-olds, the parents are an important part of that. I mentioned why I'm so confident in these because Brandon, Corey, and Regina are people that if I have a 17-year-old and I'm seeing that, like, that person cares about my kid, they are going to be a good supervisor for them. This might be some of their first job. It's important for that experience to be positive as they enter into the workforce. So as we do that, that was really, really important. Go ahead. The next piece is, and this is really where Brandon has made some big strides for us. Hiring's great. Keeping them way better. It's less training, better experience, good onboarding pieces. So I use this because we do have some uniforms. This is a lifeguard. This is a head lifeguard. So we have created a very clear and visible pathway for some added job responsibilities that are available for staff. So it's not just, hey, you're a lifeguard and you cycle out. It's like, no, if you really enjoy this, there are some different pathways that you can come into. This is Hannah. She's one of our head lifeguards. She does a fantastic job. Some of her added responsibilities are things like opening and closing the building. If we have an incident that takes place in the pool, she's the one who documents it and makes sure that it is, and then does some coaching with lifeguards. Not a supervisor, but somebody who is kind of the person in charge for the lifeguard team. Very, very good career pathway. We have built more of those. There's also some really subtle stuff that Brandon worked into our budget this year, where we have some staff that can they can apply for a pay increase so they can then teach some certifications of CPR trainings as well. So some of those little things are very behind the scenes work that means a big impact for somebody to stay for one summer versus staying with us for longer. And this is Lily. We use Lily because aquatics is kind of a separate sub-department within the Willamalane district, but it is a part of the Willamalane district. Lily was so lifeguard, swim instructor, lifeguard, head guard. There we go. So that's the path that Lily had. And then we had an events and volunteer supervisor position open up. And Lily applied for the job. Based on the experience, I was in on her interview panel, and based on the experience that she had running aquatics events and just the daily operations, we're like, there's a lot of parallels for running a special event. When you go to Splash and you've got 500 kids in the water, that is on par with a Willamalane special event in terms of attendance and complexity of issues. Lily nailed that in the interview. She won the job. So now she moved from aquatics and she is leading all of Willamalane's volunteer and special events. If you just saw Children's Celebration with 3,000 people at Island Park, that's not Lily's baby. That came from this. That's a story that Lily earned that job. It was no question she was the right fit for it. But you better believe that that story is one that is very important for somebody. If you are a lifeguard, you can see that if there's not just career pathways within aquatics. If you're a lifeguard with Willamalane, it opens the door to Willamalane, or anywhere else. You know, I think Lily's another good example that if I sat on her job interview, if she gave that job interview for any company looking for you name it, she's probably going to win it over. She really cultivated a lot of their skills working in the pools. So we want our staff to know that that's a possibility for them at any point. We have quite a few of our managers now who in some way, shape, or form have worked in the aquatic world. And we want people to know this is not just one department that you have access to. All right, and that is my last one. These are the results that really matter. If we didn't change course, all of these things are in jeopardy. Swim lessons, dive in movie tonight. Water exercise. This is our 4th grade swim lesson program. So these are actually 4th grade students that come from schools at Springfield during school hours as PE curriculum. We offer this during the day. These are the things that people need. This is a pretty regular rec swim at Splash. Every one of those people requires the lifeguards who are safely keeping everyone safe in the background. Notice even with a swim instructor, there is still a lifeguard on the stand. You can't just have a swim instructor. You have to have that. Every single one of these things only happens if we can push the gas. The hiring example we have here, if we would have kept things as we had been doing them, I can't say with confidence that we would be able to offer all of these things. So it's a very, very like unique case example that we have at Willamalane, but it's one that is very successful. It's an innovative thing that came from the staff. This didn't come from direction from leadership or marketing or anybody else. This was staff saying, we're going to try something different. They tried, they failed, they tried again, they failed again, and they kind of hit that model that led to 38 people coming in last April. And then there's another one coming up as we're going into fall. That's it. I will open it up. I think I'm about on the time that I wanted to. So do you want to wait for questions or should we let Christine go first or how do you guys want to do it?
Why don't we go ahead and let Christine go
Perfect.
and
Okay.
then we'll do questions.
All right.
Afterwards.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
That's quite an accomplishment, Kenny, and you too, Lily. And Lily was in our essential skills class this year also. And next up, we have Christine West Silver, owner of Silver Business Solutions. And I'm excited to say Christine is our chair this year of the Leadership Summit, which will happen on Thursday, November 18th. So mark your calendars. After 12 years in human resources, swimming in policies and compliance, Christine was ready for something different. She craved real conversations about people, growth, and leadership. Then came the light bulb moment, a workshop with a management consultant. The second he started facilitating, she thought, that's what I want to do. One mentor and one brave leap later, she ditched the corporate grind and built a reputation as a no-nonsense facilitator and coach. Her specialty is performance management, and she is trained as a mediator, teaching the skills and helping people resolve conflicts. 2 decades and thousands of clients later, she's still at it, helping leaders navigate the tough people stuff with practical, real-world solutions. Now based in Eugene, Silver Business Solutions LLC supports small to mid-sized organizations in both the non and for-profit sectors.
I'm so happy because my favorite people, my favorite topic, and my favorite dress all in the pockets. Okay, so as you heard, organizations can do a great job of hiring. And kudos to you guys for just going with the conditions as they change and figuring out how do we get the right people, how do we get them in. And there's an onboarding. It sounds like you also have onboard. Who here has an organization or works for one where there's a good onboarding program after someone's hired? Okay, good. So that's great. And then sometimes that's where it stops. I've worked with, like you said, thousands of people, and sometimes managers take the approach that hired good people, they have a good resume, they have lots of skills, we did the onboarding, I've got a busy job to do, so ta-da, you're off and running. That works sometimes if you're lucky, but for most people, what is needed is some kind of ongoing relationship building between managers and staff. Keep myself, because I could talk about this all day, so I need to keep myself on track here. So what I want to talk with you about is how coaching is a strategy to get good results and positive morale and keep your people there, the good people, to stay with your organization. It is an investment, so you don't want to hire somebody, like you said, like Kenny said, go through all of that and then they leave. All right, so let's talk about some myths because the word coaching itself sometimes calls up a connotation that isn't so positive. And this I want to hear all the time. I only bring out the coaching if there's a problem. Or they'll take the approach that discipline now calls for coaching. And what I say to that is, you hired the person, you did a good job of that, you got the right person in place. Now let's take some action from the beginning, positive action to set that person up for success. Good managers don't wait till there's a problem. You do these things from the start. You establish better communication. You get off to a more positive start, building that relation. I'm repeating myself now. These are the key practices that I teach all my clients. You have to tell people what good looks like. And then they go perform. And then everybody needs something along the way. Not everybody needs exactly the same, but everybody needs something. I need to give feedback, positive or as some people would say, it's not criticism, but positive or negative performance feedback. What's going well objectively, or what is not going well, and then do problem solving. And then if you're going to do performance evaluations, you want them to be a no surprise review. So sometimes what I see is we hire someone, we onboard them, we say, good luck. And then a year later, they get a review and everybody's like, what happened there? That was a surprise to me. So these practices help keep your good people on board because they realize they work for somebody who cares about their growth and their development, and they're willing to tell them when they're doing a good job, and if they're not, they give them a chance to turn it around. I also hear this a lot. I'm busy with my own job. I know that who here is a working manager? Nice. There are very few managers out there that just sit in the office and direct traffic. So realize that most people do have a sizable job to do. But I will say, and I will not apologize for this, if you are a manager of people and you are too busy with your own job to manage your people, you are not a manager. You're an individual contributor with a bigger title. So if you're a people manager or you are mentoring a people manager, this is the message that they need to get. They need to find a way to find some time to do the people management aspects of their job. So coaching managers figure out, yeah, I don't have much time. How can I carve out a half hour to get the biggest bang for my buck? If I'm going to have a one-on-one with someone, how can I set that up so that it's productive? Sometimes, depending on the organization, the one-on-ones become, did you do this? Did you do that? Did you do this? So we just go down a checklist. That is not building a relationship, a working relationship that will withstand the ups and downs of real jobs in the real world. So here's one example for I won't have time for my own job that I particularly like. You hire someone and they start in the worst possible week for you. You know that they're going to need some attention, but you do not have time for that. So instead of saying, well, do what you can and I'll see you next week, this coaching manager will say, on Monday, I'm going to find a half hour and meet with my new person. And during that half hour, I will set that person up for success for the week. We'll talk about the people they should meet, the things that they should do. Every job is different, so you would figure that out. So the person gets set up for success, has a plan for the week, manager disappears. Then on Friday, they have a follow-up one-on-one, half hour, where they debrief what happened during the week, answer questions, do any mentoring, and give positive feedback so that that person feels like they were able to accomplish something. I don't know about you, but I hate being new. I hate being incompetent. And I don't care how competent the person comes into a new job, they're new at your job. So people often feel right away like, oh, I'm not doing that well. So this is a golden opportunity to set them up for success and then follow up at the end of the week to tell them how they did well. And then you do that over and over again until they're ready to be self-sufficient. I was in human resources for 12 years, and I've heard plenty of times, I have to do everything exactly the same with everyone, or I will be out of compliance with the legal world. And I will say to you that that is really just not true. What is true is a good coaching manager will have a set of practices, setting expectations and goals, providing support and guidance, giving ongoing feedback, writing no surprise reviews. And they do that for everybody, but not exactly the same way. Who here does better in your performance if you receive a lot of feedback, positive or negative? Okay. Who here does better in your performance if you just receive a little feedback once in a while? You really don't need much. Okay, a couple of people. All right, you're different. So if I treat the ones who need a lot of feedback the same as the ones who don't need much feedback, I'm driving some of you crazy. And I don't want to do that. So a good coaching manager works with the person in front of them. takes the time to find out what motivates you, like what lights your fire, what kind of feedback do you like that works for you, how much planning do you like to do. Now, that's not to say that if you've hired a person who's, I don't want any feedback, I don't do any planning, and actually I don't come into work until 11 and I'm going to leave by 3. That there might not be a good fit there, or you have to reset expectations. So it's not all about negotiating everything and saying it's a free for all. But working with the person in front of you can help you avoid pitfalls. Like, who here really loves public acknowledgement? Put you on a stage and get you a lot of applause. Anybody? Oh, okay, good. Yeah. So people who do not like to be held up like that, you will embarrass the crap out of them if you do that, because some managers will say that is how I acknowledge good performance for everyone. So this is about working with the individuals and not trying to apply a one-size-fits-all. We got a good thing going here with the turning of the cards. Many people I've worked with have said, what a relief to find out I don't have to be some cardboard cutout version of a standard manager. And thank goodness I don't have to be a psychologist or an expert in things like generational differences. I won't talk about general, I just got braces on. I won't talk about those generations. Here's the thing. For some managers, it gets so complicated. I feel bad for them. Because it's almost like, let's see, I got this person, Chris is like probably in her 30s, maybe. She's in the second quadrant of situational leadership, and she's this polar on the and Myers-Briggs, and so this is now how I have to work with her. That's making an awful lot of assumptions. So I mean, I'm a boomer, I'll say it, but I don't want to be treated like a boomer, so you wouldn't want to see the gray hair and then make an assumption. So this is also about working with the individual that you have in front of you, and not trying to psych anybody out or play any games or anything like that. Just being straightforward. That's the way of the coaching manager. How's my time? I have no idea where I am.
You okay?
Okay. All right. Who here knows Andrew Robinson? I knew him from Giant. Okay. Andrew Robinson said something along the lines of, you gotta have presence as a person. You can't just have tools. And that really got my attention, because I'm big on tools, but you can't just wield a tool without being a human being behind it and being able to work with people. So yay, all branded tools, and no need to complicate the crap out of it. So there's lots of stuff out there, and you can read a lot of books and you study a lot of people and listen to a lot of podcasts. But my message to this group or any group is to try to keep it simple. Coaching managers say, look, I do have a lot of personal responsibilities. My job requires me to do certain things. And I've got these people that I want to take care of. I want them to have job satisfaction, positive morale. I want them to feel like they're accomplishing something and have a chance to grow in their career. But I don't have a lot of time. So I'm just going to have a few good, solid practices, and I will do those consistently. One of the best tools that a coaching manager can adopt and practice is listening. Now, what usually precedes good listening is a good question. And what drives a good question is genuine curiosity. So questions, answers, and listening take place in almost every coaching conversation, whether we're solving a problem, whether we are planning something. If I'm giving negative feedback and I want to get to a positive place with this person, lots of uses for asking good questions. What I want for people, that was a fake out. What I want in all organizations is that managers work with staff to get them to be self-sufficient, not completely independent, because that means that they're working for themselves and doing whatever they want, but self-sufficient and productive and feeling pretty good. I'm not going to try to manage their happiness because sometimes people are only happy when they're unhappy. But I do want them to be glad that they're there. And it's been said a million times, employees leave managers, not organizations. So I want to be the manager that people want to work for. I want people to use good judgment. I want them to know when they are doing what I would like them to do. Coaching managers make sure that those things happen. They do it through dialogue. So now let's talk about open-ended questions, because dialogue is where it's at. And sometimes people use questions to kind of manipulate, or they'll try to get somebody to go where they want them to go. Sometimes that's 20 questions. I don't want to play 20 questions. I want to ask the appropriate question and listen to the answer and see if I can summarize to show that I understood. I don't have to agree or disagree with the answer. I just want to have them speak so I get to know them better and we can perhaps solve a problem or get somewhere. So I really like these, depending on the conversation that you're having. This one in particular, career coaching, is a great thing to do. People may want to grow, maybe not. I'm not going to force them if they don't want to grow in their careers, but if they do, let me ask them. And then say, wow, if you want to be the CEO within the next 5 years, I can't promise that, but let's figure out some of the things that I could support that you might do in the meantime to get ready for that. What are your options? This is my personal favorite coaching question when I'm faced with a manager that I'm coaching. They've got a problem. Well, what are your options? They'll come up with one that they think will work. I'm like, no, I want 10. I want all the options, the good ones, the bad ones, the ones you think will never work. Let's get them all out on the table. Then have a better chance of picking one that will be a good choice. Actually, no. That was the last. I think that was the last one anyway. Okay. Coaching is the kind of coaching that I'm talking about here is not life coaching. It's not sports coaching. It's saying I, as a manager, do more than just issue orders. I do more than issue memos. I work with the individuals on my team to make sure that they have the best chance to perform as well as they can for their sake and for the sake of the organization. And in doing so, I have conversations with them. Those conversations are productive. I'll have an agenda so I can stay on track. I use problem solving so that I'm not, if we're talking about a problem, we don't end with, yeah, I'll try harder. We end with a positive plan. It isn't all about listening, because sometimes you actually do have to make a statement. You have to say, this is the expectation, or I'm training to this process. But it's having a package of tools available for the many situations that come up, because people are complicated. You never know what you're really going to get until you got them. Now, what are you going to do with them? You're going to treat them with respect and do the best you can to build a relationship that will withstand all those ups and downs of this crazy world. Ta-da!
Andy, you want to come back up, and we'll have
Okay.
both of you up here, and then who has questions in the audience? Is that a question? Go ahead, Jim.
So in your coaching, do you use any assessments as far as what their leadership really is based on their behavioral traits, those kind of things, their cognitive abilities? And you also do any 360 evaluations?
I do not use assessments, and I do 360s.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then what do you do with the 360 once you?
Depending on the situation, I'll run this 360, I'll create the report, and then I send it to the person for reading, and then we have a debrief, and then make a plan. So the areas that that turned out to be areas of development, we make a plan around.
You do a debrief or something.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It's pretty valuable too. And the surprising thing for me is the assessment side that you don't use them. I mean, the research shows that the best predictor of success in any job is going to be the cognitive abilities and behavior, more than interviews or anything else.
Mhm.
And man, it's easy to get that data to understand. You know, a lot of times the company will try to promote somebody because they're an employee.
Mhm.
They have no potential to be a good manager
Mhm.
because based on the behavioral traits and the cognitive abilities. And it's not, it's one of all to be rocket scientists. I mean, one of my clients had a managerial applicant who the job was to communicate, to manage a large group of different people, different abilities.
Mhm.
And they scored in the top 2.5% of the population in all the cognitive ability. In every area. And one of the questions that they asked because of the assessment was, you know, you're obviously a very smart person. Does it ever bother you when you're trying to explain something to somebody, they just don't get it? Oh, yeah, that knows the heck out of me all the time. It's not a question you think they asked you without a assessment out there.
So for me, that would, for the clients I work with, that would be an organizational thing that they would do. From when I'm working, coaching a manager,
Okay.
they're already in their job and they're trying to solve problems or grow in a particular direction, and I'm doing customized work with them.
Thank
I had a quick online clarification, Jim, if you could explain what a 360 evaluation is.
It's a great tool where the person being evaluated and their leader choose. I like to keep it under 12 people who are peers, above, all around. Sometimes outside the organization, and then they answer questions on a document that we agree on. What areas are we going to ask about? And sometimes they assign a score to it. And then I collect all that data and summarize the themes. So the person being evaluated gets to see 75% of respondents said, you are a great listener. And here are some examples. I'm not quoting anyone, but it's this full circle feedback gathering.
Let me just respond. The one that I use with my clients is actually much more structured than that. It's basically 80 behavioral questions that are answered by their bosses, by their peers, and by their direct reports. And if they're in sales position, maybe by a client. But it provides a behavioral evaluation that you can then coach them on. These are areas that your strengths, these are areas that your weaknesses. Let's come up with a plan.
I have not at the Willamalane, but at a different job, I have been a recipient of a 360 review. I will just say it is a bizarre experience, and it's. I think I got a ton out of it. I think it's a really big experience in self-awareness too. So if you're not prepared for that, I think you just want to make sure the staff know it's a bit of a raw exposing thing, and you don't always know where things are coming from. But like, I mean, when I got mine, there were even some comments about am I genuine when I compliment? I mess with my head so much. Like I am, but am I not showing it? Is it coming? So I would just say if anybody goes that 360 evaluation, just really try to prepare the person who's going through it. It's like, this is what you'll get out of it. This is kind of how it works. But if you, I did find it incredibly valuable. But
it's also valuable to prepare the whole company for.
Yeah.
It's going to be really important for you to be honest on this, and we really care what you think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the part of it that can be really positive. It's the entire group, we care, how you manage, we care, that you're treated right.
Yeah.
Anyway, probably enough.
So the Willamalane process is really cool and kind of brings a human element back into, if anybody's applied for a job in the last few years, it's an extremely online process.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
Do you feel like you've created something that can translate to other industries and things, or is it more just you kind of built on the strength that you had with the uniqueness of what you're looking for?
Yeah, it's cool. I thought about that before trying to picking on like what kind of the topic we would have, and that was my thought, is that our aquatics department did this for a very specific purpose. I think when I started to look across other departments, we probably could do a similar approach for things like our sports coaches, where we have quite a few people who are trying to hire in a similar period of time for a similar job. I think it could work for that. Probably things like our child care instructors, so our kids club programs take place at schools. I think this could be an option too. I do think it is something where you would have to pay very close attention to the type of position. And I don't know if it would work. So it's like, hey, we're looking for an like IT specialist. We're going to try to do an IT specialist hiring event. But I do think some of the things that I really kind of think this can carry is that like try a little bit before you do it. But when I applied for my job at Willamalane, this was for the marketing supervisor job at that time. And the best experience I had with that is the hiring manager said, hey, we have our Willamalane 75th anniversary coming up, and we need a marketing event for that. Part of that, I was actually given an opportunity to be like, if you think it would make sense in this interview to give us what your vision for an event would be. That was me essentially getting a real life example of what that job would take. And I know there's this kind of that borderline of, is that okay? Because what if I didn't get that job and they take my ideas and use it? As the hiring person in that seat, I really liked because like I really enjoyed that assignment. Like if I enjoyed this assignment, I wanted the job more. If I hated that assignment, it could have been like that swim test. That could have been my sign. Like I don't really like that doing event plans. So I think there probably are some ways if you know your audience and you're trying to give that little bit of beyond just the standard interview questions that I think are usually coming through that. If there is something that you can carry over, and as I've done more hiring, I think Lily can speak to this too. There are even some things that they're not necessarily assignments, but they're very specific interview questions that almost put you in the seat of if you were in this position, you have to make this decision on why. I think we're trying, at least from the hiring panels that I've been on, to try to steer that way so it is a little bit more of that sample when you do it.
Go ahead. Christy, question for you. From the points that you brought up and talking about coaching as a retention policy, but as well as just coaching in general to be best practices. What's something that if you could grab a mic and bang into our head, what would that be? That you really want us to take away and understand, you should really be sticking to X, Y, or Z.
One thing.
Or maybe two things.
Not making assumptions about people. And it's a little bit of free fall. I hear a lot of people saying they don't like the listening part because I don't know what they're going to say. And then what if I don't know what to say? And so sometimes managers will barrel in and say, I'm just going to tell them what is expected and tell them what to do and then call it a day. When the opportunity there is to say, here's the expectation, let's talk about how you can execute that. Or let's talk about your concerns about this goal. To have dialogue and be willing to listen and be faced with something that you didn't expect to hear and have the confidence that you can hang in there and that you can come to a positive place with that person. That's the one, like eyeball to eyeball.
Thank you.
Question for Kenny.
Yeah.
You mentioned that there were some ideas in the initial phase of how you were trying to revamp that kind of fell flat. I'm just curious if you had any examples that you guys thought was a really good idea and it might be unique to the industry, but also if it had applications.
You mean from the hiring events?
Yeah, like before that event, you kind of mentioned there were some things that didn't.
So I'll go back to my marketing brain, and Brandon, you can fill in any gaps we have here too. I think the thing that we figured out is that marketing can't lead that. So we were trying everything from, well, should we brand it? Should we even change how we're calling our aquatics department? You'll see one, we called it the pool squad. We were trying any hook that we could to separate. And really, I think one of the points that we focused too much on is the competition of other jobs. Especially that came out of COVID, a lot was like, oh my gosh, if you can flip burgers and make this amount, why would you go be like, and we focused so much on that. I think what the marketing couldn't do it, like it just wasn't going to make sense. Everybody was coming at the marketing from the same thing. And really what we realized, we had to change the product. And the product that we changed was the experience people had through that application process. And that's really where our aquatics team led this and then said, okay, marketing, we're creating this product. Can you market this versus this general job? I think we could have tried 50 other ways that we could do it. We could have raised that price even, or that starting weight even more. One, that wouldn't have been sustainable, and two, it wasn't really showing that it was going to be effective. So I think the things that fell flat, we thought, all right, cool. If we just get slightly above the pay range for McDonald's, we're gonna be good. It wasn't the case. We're gonna try to get really creative, and we're gonna go out to schools more and see if we can pull more people in. Those things did have some impact for sure. But now when we go to schools and we're saying, not apply, it's come test it out. Bring your friends, like make it a social gathering, work with your friends, come try it out, make sure it's for you. That giving that, really adjusting that process, that's the ticket that I think we really had to be proud of.
Have you found that this streamlines the length of time your hiring process for the season? Does it make it shorter?
I'll ask Brandon, yeah, what do you think?
Actually, I think it's first off, if anybody has not heard, diving movie tonight. Splash. No, you know, it sounds like we've added a step to this process, and to be honest, we have. But what it does is it has streamlined the process, because if you go back to the old hiring process, we would hire you and then do all of this stuff. And once we start this process of the swim test, then we realize we hired you as a lifeguard, you can't swim. Uh-oh, how do we deal with that? And so now we're in this process of working with HR of like, okay, they didn't meet the minimum requirements. And so that actually extended all of this process because it muddied the waters, to use a water pun. But it has streamlined it, because the applicants that we're actually onboarding and bringing on are people that we're finding out really want to be there, or their parents really want them to be there. And they're the ones that can actually swim and perform the skills because the swim test that they do, it's a 300, tread water for 2 minutes without use your hands, and then retrieve a break off the bottom of the pool 11 to 13 feet in less than a minute and 20 seconds. That is the most basic requirements that they have in order to legally process a certification. But that is the easiest stuff that they do for their certification. They have to backboard somebody in deep water without touching the bottom of the pool. And that's an extraordinarily difficult process. And so by streamlining it and actually getting the people through the doors with this hiring process that can show they have the basic skills and can show they want to be here and have put in the effort to come to this hire event because they want the job instead of just somebody told them go do it, then we found that it does add a step, but it streamlines the process so much because we've kind of already weeded out the issues prior to all this happening.
I'm assuming there's a lot of HR professionals in the room here too. The one thing I will say is that when we took this model, 35 applicants all at once, that does create a pretty big tidal wave of work at one time for HR. So it does streamline that, but there we go. But it does create a little bit of a different type of a workflow. So I would say something like that, if you're looking for a single position, you're trying to get a big influx of applicants. We know it creates more work. The good news for our HR team is that the work is spent in more concentrated area versus we have a recruitment specialist, and if she is able to support things like this, it's less time she's doing career fairs, going out to schools, kind of banging on doors, trying to get people through. So it's just kind of a different type of work.
And same on our side, because after they get hired, they have to do the training. Basic cert is 40 hours of training for lifeguards, and then an additional 20 hours of in-house training after. So it's 60 hours of training. If we can do 35 people all at once, instead of doing 10 people this month and 10 people that month, I can now have 1 or 2 people, 2 or 3 people that are doing this class and doing this And then that frees them up the rest of the time to do, you know, other stuff that I would be pulling them from so they can teach a 60-hour essentially class. So it does make things easier on our side as well, because it's kind of all at once and then we're done.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Do you know anywhere I can go shark?
Yes, I do, and enjoy a lovely swim at the same time.
Okay, thank you both so much. This is all. Following the shameless plugs, we will do, don't forget to register for our Insights into Innovation, our Chamber Roundtable and Tour on Tuesday, July 28th. Also Leadership Eugene Springfield, the applications close July 31st. And then also we need volunteers to conduct our mock interviews on Thursday, July 30th from 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. here at the Chamber. Anybody have any questions on those? Just see any of the staff members. And thank you all so much for being here today. We really appreciate your participation. And thanks again, Kenny and Christine. Great job. We appreciate it.